Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I stopped. Hello, my name is Claire Bennett, and this is attempt number 6. No, it's not Claire Bennett. It's Barry Doublet or Barry Doublet, depending on where you live. And yes, I have been watching Heroes again. How sad is that? This is my second attempt to trying to do this video. Last week it went through the roof because of technical problems, and we almost had technical problems again today. This video is now on a different video, but it's the same time. And hopefully people are watching this and finding this link to this video and watching us. Okay, what we're going to do is I'm going to introduce you to my friend and colleague from all the way from Canada. His name is Craig Stewart. Craig, how are you?
I'm good. I'm here. We're actually seeing each other this time.
Yes, success. Technology has not failed us. Craig, he does a board game review channel called the I watch it so many times and my words are just gone from me, Craig. Sorry. The Gamers Table. Yes, there. I got to stop talking because I can't see. Okay, yeah. Craig does a review channel called the Gamers Table with his friends Ken and Chris. My tongue. So this black currant I'm drinking, it's making my tongue go. And he's going to join me on this topic. What we'll do is we're going to talk to Chris. We're going to talk to Craig for a bit. And then we're going to jump onto the subject. So, Craig, tell me a bit about the Gamers Table. Tell these people out there about the Gamers Table while I drink my black currant.
Okay, the Gamers Table is it used to be a weekly show. It's not always weekly anymore, but it's a board game review show. We get a lot of flack from people actually about our review show not being a review show, because it's the three of us. We sit down and we talk about the game. We try and cover most of the aspects, the kind of mechanics, that thing, but we more give our impressions of the game. And if you're somebody who watches our show or goes back and watches all the ones on YouTube, you get an idea that the three of us have different likes about games, which means if you like games the way Ken likes games, when you watch a show and you see, oh, Ken really likes this game, I'm going to like this game. And that's sort of thing that we try and get across. Rather, this is a game you're going to like, this is a game you're going to want to play, rather than a step-by-step going through and telling you exactly how to play it. Because that's what the rules book is for. We're telling you whether, if you sit down with a bunch of people, you're going to enjoy this game, or they're going to enjoy it as well. Which speaks to our topic.
It does indeed. Yes, it does. So when did you start, and why did you start the Gamers Table?
Oh, it's not really a nice reason.
Okay.
Yeah, I just started getting into board games. Chris's brother is really heavily into board games, and he had gotten Chris Puerto Rico, and it sat unopened for a year before we finally tried to crack it open and try it. And we tried it, and we liked it, and then Chris was always telling me about, this guy reviews games, that guy reviews games, you should check these guys out. And I come from a background of making films already, so I checked these guys out, and pretty much across the board, it's like, wow, this show really isn't very good. I mean, he's giving good information, but the show's presentation isn't very good. And that was not very good either. We could do better than that. So I proposed to the guys one day, do you want to just do a review show? We'll sit down and do some stuff. And they were both into it, so we did. And our first few shows weren't that good. We started with Castle Ravenloft, which was 6 years ago, was our first show now. And look at it now, it's like, ooh, boy. We do a lot better now, but especially Ken and Chris, because they're not really performers, so it took them a lot longer to get comfortable being on screen. But that's why we started, and then a few years later on, because I designed games through the Game Crafter, we sort of partnered up with them and started reviewing the independent games that otherwise nobody would ever hear of. And so we've done 70-something of the indie shows and 170-something main review shows so far.
That's quite a catalog, and you certainly sold me on a few games. I watched a lot of your videos, and obviously it was you that twisted my arm and made me purchase Arkham Horror, which was not cheap at the time.
No,
still not cheap. Can we talk a bit about your designing background?
Sure. ever since in the really early days in my teens, I had a VIC-20 way back in the day. And, there was no software. So if you wanted games or anything, you had to write them. So game design was something that I got into at a fairly early age. And when I was young, board games were for a special occasion. So we had board games in the house, but I couldn't play with them all the time. And it was only me, so it would have been playing solo anyways. So again, I end up, well, I want to play Mealborns. I haven't got it. I'm going to make my own cards and I play my own game, and you can't stop me. So it's sort of sprung out of that, and now it's, you know what? I would like to play a game like this, and I have never seen one like this. Well, I'm going to see if I can design one, see if it's just impossible to design or just nobody's done it yet. And sometimes it's things like Chris bought this game called Dream Factory that was supposed to be about filmmaking. He said this one should be right up your alley because it's kind of like filmmaking. And it's not. It's a set collection game. It has nothing to do with filmmaking. And we played and said, you know what? I can make one about filmmaking that is about filmmaking. So the card game Filmmaker that you can buy on the Game Crafter, that's where that came from.
Yeah. One thing I remember you talking about is you were designing a game based on the Supernatural series. How is that coming, can I ask?
It's almost done. Basically, it's a matter of designing all the cards and everything for it. It's a co-op game, and at the start you select a certain number of, I think it's 8 of the cards, and they just have different symbols on them. And you have the big book of lore, and every time you get another symbol, it gets you closer to knowing which one of the monsters it is, but nobody knows. So it's sort of like Clue, because every time you get another symbol, okay, this monster has this symbol and this symbol. Okay, it might be that guy. Okay, so we need to get these to fight him. And it's one of those, the more symbols you get, the closer you get to knowing what the monster is, but the stronger the monster gets, because more cards get added to his side as you play. Yeah. So it's like, okay, should we wait and know for sure what it is, or do we think we've got enough to attack him now? And the whole town is tiles, so you can set it up differently every time, so it's a lot of replayability.
Yeah, it sounds very enticing. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to maybe, is it going to be on the Game Crafter? Or
probably, yeah.
Or are you going to try and plug it to some big house of games?
I think it will depend on how it goes. Because, the idea of licensing the Supernatural theme is kind of scary, so it might be just Monster Hunter, which it is now, and, John and Jim Remington instead of Sam and Dean Winchester would be the main characters or something. It's like, it's not supernatural, but if you watch the show, actually it is, sort of thing.
Yeah. And then there's this one little wooden cabin where there's this old man with a beard in a wheelchair, and his name is Jonathan.
Billy. Yeah, Jonathan.
Billy. Oh, Edward.
He has a junk shop. Yeah.
I wonder what this is trying to emulate. I wonder. Well, there you go. There's a bit of Craig, and Craig's going to help me on this subject of what is value for money in a board game. What board games are value for money? Again, if you're watching this at this moment, it's live. It should be live somewhere, and somewhere there should be a box for you to write questions. So if you want to ask us any questions or drop any comments and thoughts that you have about this subject as well, feel free to, and we will answer them. You can also Twitter me. Hopefully I'll find it on my Twitter page. My Twitter is TBalanceOPower. TBalanceOPower. Okay. Should we crack on then, Craig?
Sure.
Okay. People always ask, what's a good game? And I always try to think, well, a good game is something which is value for money. What is value for money, you say? Well, I broke this down into 4 categories. And we'll go through this category by category. I'll start with the first one. He says, getting his piece of paper and reading it in a very nice voice. I would say value for money, category 1, would be that has a low price point.
I smile because I rarely go for the ones at the low price point.
No, you don't.
No,
Why is
I
that?
mostly because I like a really good theme, and a lot of times the lower price point is just a deck of cards or something. It can have a theme, but it's not going to be as immersive as something like Firefly or Twilight Imperium, to name a few big box games.
But there is a Firefly small card game coming out, isn't there?
Yeah, I think so,
Would
but
that?
not the same as the one that takes up the whole table. That's much more fun. I say because we just played that last night.
So you played what last night?
Firefly
Ah,
and
okay.
Legendary Encounters we actually played last night as well.
All right. Sounds so. You wouldn't deem a small game like Star Realms as a very inexpensive deck of cards, which has a lot of theme. Or have you
I
not played?
I haven't played that particular one. I wouldn't say that the smaller ones don't have theme. They just don't have as much because it's just
Hmm.
cards. And again, I guess it depends on the people playing too. Because some people, they
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
well,
yeah.
this one's worth four, that's, and they're just doing the math in their head. They're not really doing anything. But if you play the theme, then it's a little bit better. Something like Smash Up, where I'm playing
Hmm.
the elves and I'm playing the pirates. Well, then I got to talk in the pirate voice, and don't I? Hire, oh, okay, you're bringing more to the theme, but not everybody does that.
No. I know that. It's a bit hard sometimes. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Cheap games are normally a deck of cards or a few little components. Some of the games I'm thinking of are Hanabi, which is a cooperative game with cards and a few tokens and a bit of arm ache at the end of the night because you're holding these cards up opposite you and pointing to other players. So yeah, there's no real theme there at all, but it is an enjoyable experience. But you need a certain type of person to play that kind of
Yeah.
game with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you need the people who aren't going to get mad at you when you discarded that five. It's like, you discarded the five, man. There's only one of them. It's just a game. It's just a game. I thought it was over here.
Yeah, I've recently just done a load of reviews on very small, cheap, and expensive games like Eat Me If You Can, which is a few cards and a few tokens. But there's enough gameplay there for 30 minutes, and then you put it away, and then you leave it for a couple of weeks before you even think about going back to it
Yeah,
because there's not this replayability factor in a very cheap game. Um,
yeah,
but
that was too
the other
bad.
thing
I
I have
watched
to
that review you did, and I thought that game, Eat Me If You Can, actually seemed like a good game. And then you got to the end, and it's like, yeah, and there's not really much replayability. So, yeah, I can see that. So I would like to play it once or twice, but I don't think I would buy it just because I would only ever play it once or twice, and then it would sit on the shelf collecting dust.
Yeah, it's a nice mechanic, and it's at the beginning, there's not really anything there because there's nothing to lose or win. But when the game gets on and you get to a certain amount of points, and people are getting near end game, that's when it becomes very strategic. Who should you give the 3-point house to, or who should you give the wolf to, and then it becomes really kind of a battle of wits, and that could be introduced into a bigger game
Mm-hmm.
with more replayability. And I think it'd be a great mechanic. It may be something like Battlestar. Can you imagine that in the Battlestar Galactica theme?
Oh,
Right, you're a Cylon and you're human, okay, but you're the president, so you'll wear 3 points.
yeah.
Yes.
Which one of you should I blast?
Exactly. Um, Another small game I've just picked up is called Les Bâtisseurs. It's the Builders. It's a Frederick Henry game. Comes in one of those small tins.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't played it yet. I've read the rules, and the game sounds like it's got a fair amount of replayability because you're hiring workers, you're building buildings. It kind of sounds like a bigger game than what it actually is instead of this small tin. And
Mm-hmm.
I would say that maybe something like that has a lot of replayability, and it's cheap, and it's small, and it's compatible, and you can take it anywhere. And it's 2 to 4 player. You can hire different workers, different times. You can take different strategies. There's investments that you can go into. You can invest in buying some tools, or you can invest in a school, which will give one of your workers a permanent upgrade. And it just seems like there's a lot of potential there for a very good, low-priced, value for money game. I haven't got it to the table yet, though, but fingers crossed. But it doesn't really fit into this subject in a way. It does, but it doesn't because you haven't played it. Fair enough.
The original Evolution, when it was still owned by Right Games in Russia, was that sort of thing. It was just a deck of cards and a couple of little components in a little tiny box. And the replayability on that was amazing because you're building up creatures and giving them different traits, and they're attacking other guys around the table. They sold it to a North American company, and they came out with the box version with all the pretty graphics and everything. And unfortunately, they've taken a lot of the cutthroat out of it. It made it much more family friendly, maybe more balanced as to a younger player who doesn't quite know what's going on can still be in the running. Whereas in the original one, if you didn't know everything was going on, you were just getting stomped by the guy who made the mega creature that nobody could kill. But that we played a lot, like to the point of where once we got an expansion, you can really see which cards are the expansion, which cards are not, because they've been played so much.
Oh, right.
But that one was definitely value for money, and again, just a deck of cards, but the theme was great, and I liked that there was the educational aspect to it, where you actually learn about how creatures interacted and how creatures in the water couldn't be safe, and how if you could run away and hide, well, then it didn't matter if the predator was out there because they couldn't catch you because they can't find you, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. So would you say a standard deck of poker cards was a very good value for money game because it's one small deck of cards, 54, 52, 50, whatever, many cards, and you can play a variety of games with it. And you can play solitaire, you can play with many people, you can play with a few people, and you've got different versions of games. There you go. Perfect. That fits the category. It's a value for money and it's a low price point.
Yes. Except for, the games are a fairly limited amount of things you can do, and it's going to be those same cards all the time. And in this modern era of just seems to be like an explosion of board games and that hobby seems to really be taking off, those games don't hold up as well anymore. It's like, let's play a game of Hearts. No, let's play a game of Arkham Horror. If we're going to sit here all night, let's do something that's going to really get us going.
You say that, but there's been over the recent years, there's been games come out with trick-taking games. There's been clubs, there's been spades, and there's been diamonds, and there's obviously hearts. So I mean, there's a market for it, isn't there?
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's a market for it.
Yeah, but
it doesn't go here though.
No. Okay, I want to do something here. I'm going to ask you something really bizarre. Talking about low price points for value for money. If you compared Arkham Horror as lower price point than Cthulhu Wars.
I haven't seen the price for Cthulhu Wars. I look at it and I want it just because all those minis look amazing. And I would, that's because I like painting stuff. See, I'm painting stuff too. Because, that would be so much fun to paint all those. But something like that, I do tend to research a bit just because if you're going to be dropping $70, $80 on a game, I want to know that I'm going to play it more than once and that my friends are going to play it. Because sometimes you luck out. There was one that I picked up that's called Mission Red Planet. And it's about steampunk era people flying to Mars. And that sounds really cool. And I'm going just on the box. I have no idea about this game, but it's only $35 for a big box. So I'm going to take a chance on it. And it turned out to be really good value for money because we played it a lot and it's fun. But there's been other ones where it's, you got to take it and you get the big box home and it's like, okay, we played this once and we're never playing it again. I wish I had to spend that money, but I bought it now and I'm not going to give it away either.
Yeah. I know what you mean. But in reference to Cthulhu Wars, I think is around about $200 or $250, whereas Arkham Horror is what, $60 or something like that. I'm just guessing because I've got a background of English money, but now it's euro, so I'm all over the place here. So Arkham Horror being the cheaper of the two and a lower price point, obviously would be more value for money because you're getting a game and a game that you can replay, whereas Cthulhu Wars is you're getting a game but you're losing a leg, an arm, and maybe half your nostril just to get it and play it.
Yeah, that is definitely a steep price to go into all at once. I mean, if you get everything you can get for Arkham Horror, you buy all the expansions and you buy all the figures and everything. Sorry, Barry. You can spend lots of money on that. But if you just buy the base game and don't need anything else, that's going to give you literally hours of entertainment. Especially if you do some of the things that they suggest, like the way we play it. Whereas if you get an encounter, someone else reads your card to the decision point. So it's like, yes, you go into an open grave. There's somebody in it muttering. You go up to him. And then they stop reading and say, do you or don't you? Which gives it much more thematic, and everybody's getting into it because everybody else is listening. What you can do is go get him. Go in. And there's, with the expansion and everything, there's so many cards now. We still have it where it's like, yeah, I still don't know the result of that card. I've never had that encounter before, which is, nice because, yeah, Arkham is hundreds of hours of play we've got out of that one, but that is probably an extreme example. There are not many other games I could say that I've played that much.
Yeah, for anyone just tuning in, yes, this is the Arkham Horror Hour chat show. Yeah, I would agree with that. There are hundreds of hours of fun in Arkham Horror because of the amount of replayability.
Yes.
But the thing is, it's not a game that gets to my table a lot, which will lead me into the next part of value for money, which is the amount of plays that it has. Obviously, if a game's been played a lot, then you've got your money's worth out of it. It's like a DVD. If you've worn it so the laser just burnt all the way through the disc and you've watched it 200 times, you know all the words, you can close your eyelids and see the film, you've got your money's worth.
Yeah.
Arkham Horror doesn't fall into that category, though, does it?
It depends on the group. I have a group of people who love playing Arkham. It's basically the one group I get together with. If I brought Arkham Horror to the table every week, it would get played every week. But yeah, it depends. Like, this is a group of people who are, and it's like, well, we're only playing with 4 players, and then they'll be like, then you got to bring it next week because I want to play too. But yeah, there's other times where if you weren't with the right group, it would never get to the table because it's a big setup, and it's a long game. You're guaranteed at least an hour and a half. You could be looking at 3 or 4 hours before the game's over. Not everybody's into that sort of thing. So for a shorter game, pull out Discworld, not more pork. That one is one that if you've never played board games at all, it's like, okay, there's icons on the top of the card. You just do the icons in order. You can skip any one you wish except this one. That's the only one you have to do. Just play your cards. Move you guys around the board, play your cards. Easy. Anybody can pick it up. And it's Discworld, so it's got that crazy sense of humor, so everybody has fun with it.
Yeah, exactly. Going back to smaller games, most of my smaller games are the games that get to the table and had more plays than my bigger games. So for Arkham, I play it maybe 3 times a year, and 2 of those times I play it solo. And the one time probably with the missus who will come in and join me, and we'll have a great adventure together. But again, buying 4 expansions doesn't really fit into the kind of value for money on my side of the table because it's I haven't played with everything. I've played with Dunwich. I haven't played with Kingsport. I haven't played with the thing in yellow, the Bogeyman in yellow, or but I've used bits and pieces from each. I've taken the gods and the dreams, and I've taken the curses and the madness, and injuries and a bit here and a bit there, but I still don't feel that I've got my value for money from it. But with the smaller games, say, I'm going to say Uno, I definitely got my money's worth out of that game. I've played that game to death, and I still play that game because I love it. It's just a simple card game which you can get out with anybody, and everybody loves it.
Mm-hmm.
That, for me, is value for money.
Yeah, I guess a lot of it really does depend on if you have the group who's going to play the games. If you, as you're saying, if you got a game where it's like, I've got it, I love it, but nobody wants to play it, well, it wasn't really value for money. You basically say, we're playing this. I spent $80 on. We're playing this game tonight.
But then again, the other side of that is Sirenscape, Heroescape, which when I first bought, nobody ever played it with me. I played it once with my dad, and then it went back in the box. A couple of years later, I started buying expansions for it. Don't know why. I hadn't played it, and I just bought more expansions and more expansions. Never played it. And then 5 years later on, my daughter found it, and we started playing it. And now it has that value for money. I invested in it, didn't touch it. Now I'm playing it and enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it was a risk at the time. It was like, you know, I'm either going to buy it and then sell it, or I'm going to buy it and play it. So the amount of playability from it is endless because of the random scenarios, the random terrain, the random armies you can construct. And that in itself is value for money because you can play it many, many, many times. But as you said, you need a group who's going to play it.
Yeah, the thing about Heroescape as well is, like when I started buying it, we bought the basic set and then found there was all these terrain expansions. And I made sure that I bought all the terrain expansions when they came out. And if they were out of print, I found somebody who had one because I needed one because I wanted to get one at least of everything. I got 2 of the castles. I got like 1 of the Marvel. I got 3 of the D&D ones just to get more terrain because there's a program you can get online that allows you to design maps online. So I'll build these big intricate maps and have them all set out and say, okay, everybody can bring a 400-point army, 400 points of guys, and just go, and we'll see what happens. And then the map gets left out all night, and different people will come and play, because once I've set one of these maps up, we're leaving it out for a while. And sometimes at my friend Chad's place, the Heroescape map will stay up for like 2 or 3 weeks, and people will be playing it every Friday night when the group gets together. Different people play it because it's out. But Chad's even worse than I am. He has absolutely everything, and usually 2 of everything. So his stack of cards for picking armies is like this thick.
Yeah. Sorry, flicking about.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, the amount of plays obviously means that the more you've played something, the more money you've got back from that actual item that you've bought, which is great. Again, bought Viticulture on Kickstarter, backed that. And I've had my money's worth out of that. I've played that 40 odd times within the, 5 months that I've had it. 40 times in 5 months. Bang, 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 bang. Game. I got my money's worth. I'm going to chuck it away now. The components are wonderful as well, which leads me on to the next one. The quality of the product. If you spend $250 on Cthulhu Wars, does that, and the quality of the figures are magnificent and the artwork's magnificent, have you got value for money there in the actual product? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. If you're the kind of person who's doing it because they really like the figures and are almost thinking, once I get this game, they're going to be all up on a shelf, so when we're not playing it, the figures will be all out so I can look at them. Okay, maybe you're getting value for money just because you like the figures. You like that they're great. I mean, as I mentioned, for me, painting them, that would be fun. But I don't know if $250 is a lot of money for being able to get the fun of painting the figures, especially if we do. I would expect, if I pay that much, we're going to play it a lot. Because my yardstick for entertainment values, as I told you before, is if you go to see a movie, that's 2 hours and it costs $10. So $5 you give me an hour's entertainment. If that game took an hour to play, that means I need like a whole bunch, 25, 50, a lot of hours before that game has even come close to getting its entertainment value. Will I get that out of it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Because maybe everybody else isn't going to enjoy it, so who knows?
It's a
That would be a
divisible
risk.
thing.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah,
There's
for
Arkham
me,
Horror. Go ahead.
for Arkham Horror, sorry.
Yeah, for Arkham Horror, okay, that game cost $65, so that's
Hmm.
13 divided by 5, so 13 hours. Okay, so 3 games of Arkham Horror, I've already got my money back if I go by that entertainment yardstick. And Discworld was, I think, $35, so I only had to get 7 hours out of it. Well, that's about 7 games. We played more than 7 games. Okay, that was worth it. Um, what's the other one? Guards, which is another Discworld based game.
Terry Pratchett. Mm.
Terry Pratchett game, yeah. Not worth the money. I don't think we've ever finished the game because it's just a series of fetch quests over and over and over, and it's like, yeah, this was not all that
Yeah.
much, which is too bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm finding the same with the Star Wars Imperial Assault. I bought it, and I bought it because I thought it was value for money because it's a good product by Fantasy Flight. The figures are fantastic, the tiles and the quality of cards are fantastic. The adventure looks fantastic, but I haven't played it with anybody yet. So it's like it wants to be value for money. It is value for money in that box. It's expensive, but it is worth every penny for just all the minis, the cards, the art, the story.
Mm-hmm.
But if I played it, it would go through the roof because then you've got this wonderful looking product and you're making the most out of it.
Yeah.
But at the moment, it's Dust Collector.
Yeah.
Dust Collector.
You need to pull all little figures out, all the minis out, and just make your reenact little movies with stop motion and put them up on the channel. So I'm getting value of money out of it. I am.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I might try and do that. I'll have to find a stop motion app on the internet, or get myself a decent camera for starters. Yeah, I mean, X-Wing's the same. It's I do get to play it, and the figures are fantastic. You know, you're buying little booster packs for they're €12 here, or 10 quid in English, or I don't know what they are in American or Canadian.
It's about $12, I think, a pack.
Yeah, and they're just wonderful to look at. And then even if you don't play the game, you just put them on the side of your mantelpiece, and they just look lovely there. But is that value for money?
Yeah. Well, for you specifically, it is. But for a lot of people who think if I'm not actually playing it, that seems like I could have bought another game for that.
Yeah. It's getting to that point where my shelf is full up. I either need to go to IKEA and buy another shelf to put figures on, or I play the game and buy little boxes and put everything in. Again, another game. You know, if the product is not good, it's going to affect what you think is a good game, isn't it? I mean, how many games have you played with it? It's a good game, but there's tiles or bits that are not that good quality, and the game was probably had a price point which was higher than it should be, but you've been told it was a good game, and you went out and bought it, and you were like, oh, it's just bits of card, and it's a good game here, yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's ever happened to you. You bought a game which you thought was a bit expensive for its price, but because you looked at the components and went, Did I ask a question there, or did I just...
Sometimes you sort of just trail off. Yeah, but sometimes you get it, it's like, wow, I was expecting a little more, especially the size of the box. I got the size of this big, regular board game size box, that high and everything, and it could have fit in a box this high because it was just paper and a couple dice. And you did this, put it in this box to try and get me to buy the game, thinking it would be bigger. It's like, I guess that sort of is putting on their end, stop marketing stuff other than it is. If it's going to be, it's just a little simple thing. We'll accept the little simple things, but don't try
Mhm.
and sell it to us like it's a big thing when it's not.
Ooh.
Get back down there,
Yeah,
Larry.
I think I had that problem with Mice and Mystics. When I opened the box, it was like, did I really pay €45 for that? And it's just like some card, a handful of figures, and it was like. But when I started reading the rules and going through the adventure, there was actually quite a lot in there. But I just feel a bit let down because the price point was there, but the quality and not the quality, but the amount of product was somewhere there.
Yeah.
And so it's like, was it value for money or not? I don't know. Again, I just don't get to play it as much. It's just,
Yeah.
which is a shame. I mean, it's such a wonderful story, but you're not paying for a story. You're paying for you're paying for a game. You're investing money into something which is going to make you feel happy, have a good time with others. And when I bought the box and looked at it, it was like, ah, no, this is like the old McDonald's picture and the McDonald's burger, you know.
Hmm. Yeah. How come it never looks like that when I get it? Well, because that one's covered with shellac and everything. You wouldn't want to eat the one in the adventure. But there's
Okay.
one that I bought. It's Innsmouth Escape. It's just based on sort of the H.P. Lovecraft stuff again, and it's like I like that. So Chris said, "Yeah, this would you get this when it's on sale for like a third of the regular price at our local game store." So I went down and got it. Got it home. It's got a ton of little deep one figures, like just maybe 70 or 80 of them, and it's like, oh, that's a lot of figures in there. Then you start putting the game out and start playing the game, and it's like, this gameplay is terrible. I mean, it's got some neat ideas, but they describe it as being these epic battles, and it's like, no, that's just not possible with the game mechanics, which is too bad because it had the idea, it had the seeds of a good game, and I think if I took the rules of all apart and changed it around, I could probably make it a really awesome game. But it's like I didn't buy a game for me to redesign it. It was supposed to be good when it came out of the box, and again,
Yeah.
that's value for money. What the mechanics and everything added up to was like, no, this is not even at that low price. I don't think it was worth it, but it's still sitting on my shelf because I might kind of use for all those deep one figures one of these days.
All right. Okay. I'm going to move on to the fourth category for value for money, and that's sentimental value. It might sound a bit of a strange one, but I was thinking about it. I was thinking, do you keep hold of a game and say that a game is great, and value it high in your esteem because you've had it signed by the author, even though you don't play it, even though maybe it was a bit expensive because you had to pay for the signature, or maybe because you won it in a competition or it was free, or if it's just a really rare game, for example, does that make it value for money because it's a rare game? Again, you might have played it or might not have played it. So sentimental value, does that give a game, does that make a game value for money? For me, yes.
Sometimes I think so because I mean, well, we've been doing the show reviewing, so we actually get a lot of publishers sending games to us. So I haven't had to buy nearly as many games as I have, which is kind of nice. And we sort of spread amongst the three of us on the show. And if none of us is really attached to a game, we'll take them to our big gaming event that happens every couple of months in the region, and we'll just give them the guy here, give these away as door prizes.
That's nice.
So at least somebody's playing them. But when we got Evolution and some other ones from Russia, we were the first ones in North America to get those games. And so it's like, I don't care if this game is no good. This game's from Russia, and nobody but us has got it. And out of that bunch, Evolution was an amazing game, and we loved it. And I'm glad that it's come to North America and more people can experience the game. But yeah, that one is a sentimental favorite from her, even if it hadn't been good. Like some of the other Russian ones weren't that good. It's like, yeah, but they're from Russia, and nobody else has these. And look, it's even got the Russian. And my roommate does translation work, and she's going, yeah, and you know what? That's really bad translations. Yeah, but it's right from Russia. It's from Russia, yeah. So that's kind of nice. So yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes it is like that. It's like this game is special just because of the circumstances, how it came to me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would agree. I have one game. It's called The Fellowship of the Ring, which is obviously Tolkien. It's very old. It's 1970s. My dad found it in a skip, and it's basically a two-player game where one team has got to take the ring to Mount Doom, and the other team has got to try and stop them. And it's all, there's no figures. It's all dice. All the characters are dice, so it depicts what kind of movement they're doing. So if it's a one on top, they're walking. If it's a two, they're on horseback. If it's three, they're doing something else. And I've had this game for 20 years. I haven't bothered to read the rules properly because the rules, back then the rules were written really, really poorly and boringly.
Yeah.
And it's just
Mm-hmm.
like pages of pages, paragraph. You got to go 2.7. If you want to look at that, go to 9.5, 0.6, 0.3. And it's like, "Urgh!" But I've still got it because it's got that sentimental value. And I don't think I'll sell it because it's got that sentimental value, and I don't think I could sell it because it's got dice missing. So,
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know. It's just something about it. It's like, what's it like? It's like finding a dinosaur tooth or something like that. My dad gave me this, and it's like, wow! It's like his pocket watch, and it's like, It's got value. It's got value. It's value for money for me because it sits on my shelf and it's old and it's Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
So, what else? Value for money. As you can see, you probably can't see very well at the back. I got a lot of Asterix figures because I'm kind of an Asterix geek. When I moved to France, they were bringing out an edition of Asterix games, but they weren't Asterix games. They were it's like one of those collectors things. Every month they bring out a magazine, and then you have a CD on it or a DVD. But this was games. These were board games, and they were just your normal kind of games. Your Monopoly, your Scrabble, your Connect Four, your Taboo, Trivial Pursuit. But they were all Asterix themed with Asterix themed pieces, and I think they are value for money because I don't play all of them, but I do play some of them. Some of them are wonderful. There's a super version of I can't think what it's called. It's an abstract game, Quarto, and it's got these lovely plastic huts. And they're different colors, and then there's ones with chimneys, ones without chimneys. So it represents the different sizes and shapes of Quarto.
Mm-hmm.
And just having that alone is value for money for me because it's different, but it's the same game. Yes, snakes and ladders, and there's Monopoly, but there are some little gems in there. I mean, the Connect Four is a beautiful, beautiful little Connect Four thing. And it's Connect 4. Yeah, I know. You're probably going to switch off now, all you viewers. Okay, but no. Connect 4 is a fun little quick strategy game for two players. You can play it with kids. It's great. Battleships as well. But for me, that's value for money. It has a sentimental value because, one, it's part of a collection, and two, it's Asterix, and three, it's board games. Even better. So, yes, sentimental value.
You say people switching off. I would be actually more thrilled to hear that than anything because I've watched some of your shows and seen those games on the shelf behind you and wondering what they were because I've never seen them before. And it's like, Monopoly? That doesn't look like Monopoly. Asterisk Monopoly? And it's like, haha, so now I know where they all came from.
Yeah. It's part of I think it's 24 game collection. But I'm still gonna hold them because they are the classic, Milton Bradley games. But who cares? My daughter plays with them. I play with them. time to time, and they're nice. That means I can get rid of my real Milton and Bradley battleships and Connect 4, which is, yeah. So, yeah, value for money because it's sentimental for me.
Well, it's the same thing with the stuff that's based on Lovecraft works. So, I mean, Arkham Horror is one, but there was the Witch of Salem is another one, and lots of different Call of Cthulhu, the card battling game, which is a living card game now, so you don't. It's not blind. You always know what you're getting, but I lose that all the time. I can never win that, no matter how I build my deck. So it's a lot. But those are more value for money for me because the theme that's on them is something that I'm going to enjoy. So I at least have a base. Okay, if nothing else, I'm going to like the theme of this game, and so that at least gives me a start. But yeah, same sort of thing, because like some of them we played once or twice and never play again because they're not very good, but they're still on the shelf because they're Lovecraft games and I want them. Doesn't matter how good they are. So I'm sure one of these days Cthulhu Wars is going to get on the shelf, but not that soon.
Yeah. So that's the 4 categories that I broke down. Did you think of any more for value for money? Were there any more? Is there anything else which made you think it's value for money because?
Well, I know for me, it's never whether or not I win the game, because I've had games where it's like, hey, you won that game. Isn't it great? No, I don't think the game was very good at all. I mean, I won it because I figured out really easy on what the strategy to win was, but I didn't particularly enjoy the game. So on that side, it's like, if you don't like the game, it doesn't matter if on all those other things it hit, it didn't cost that much, the components look good, everybody wants to play it all the time. Yeah, but I don't like it, so I don't find it a good value because I just don't want to play it.
So whether the game was good or not, it makes it value for money.
Yeah,
I can see that. Yeah. I never thought of that. Yeah, it should be. If it's a good game, is it value for money? Yeah. Good point. Yeah. Every time I go into my local game shop, I look at all these games and I go, got that. And then I go, I haven't got that. And then I go, why haven't I got it? And it's like, that's probably not a good game, or I know it's not a good game, or I've got that game, but it's already in a different theme, or it uses the same mechanic. But so, yeah. So value for money in regards to, is it a good game that you want? Yeah. So how do you judge value for money overall then, Craig? Is it a mixture of all these subjects?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I keep going back to them, but Evolution has just cards, and I find that to be value for money because we all enjoy playing it. Arkham Horror, you can bling out all over the place with custom guys, custom everything, get custom dice for it, and that's spending a lot of like $200 or $300 worth easy spent on Arkham Horror. I still find it as value for money because again, we enjoy it and we play it a lot. Some other ones like Guards, not really value for money because we don't play it as much as it should. And even though it's like, I like the Pratchett theme and I would like to play it more, even I find that, the theme just isn't holding this game because it's not very good.
Is it still on your shelf?
Oh, yeah. Because it's a lot of stuff in it, and then, like, the theme is great. It's just the game itself. It's like, go here, do that. And the other players can interfere with you and screw up your turn. Oh, great. So there's a player interaction in the negative side. Now I got to go back again and start over. And it's like, how long is this game? Well, each one of the quests takes about an hour, and you have to do 4 of them. Let's say we only do 1, and whoever wins that, okay?
Yeah. For me, it's a combination of pretty much everything, all the subjects. It's got to be the amount of times that you've played a game. It's got to be a good price point with good components that you feel that you're paying not for the game but for the components as well. and it's, as you say, it's got to have a theme sentimental to you, which is you're attached to, which will bring you back time and time again. But saying that, some of my games that I would say are value for money would be The Great Dalmuti, which is a trick-taking game, a very small deck of cards. But the thing is, we've played it a bucket load, and I can play it with anyone because it's just such a simple trick-taking game, and it's so much fun. You're just trying to get rid of your hand of cards. If you get rid of your hand of cards, you become the Great Dalmuti for the next round, and then the next person becomes the vice Great Dalmuti, and then you just change places. So there's that kind of party game kind of atmosphere. And it's just, we play it for hours on end, hand after hand after hand. And I would call that a value for money game. It's cheap, it's fun, it's easy, it's replayable, and it's, it's just a trick-taking game like many trick-taking games, but it's a good one. Another game that I would say is no. You say that we got it to the table yesterday for the first time. Me and my Mrs. were at the there was a festival in Reims here, and I started explaining the game to her, and she said no. So we put it away. We got the cards out, put it away. So no, it's pronounce it Suro. It's the dragon game where you place tiles in front of your dragon.
Mm-hmm.
It's a simple game. Again, it's pretty cheap. The components are great. This is a game that you can play with non-gamers, anybody. You can play it with people that say, "Oh, don't play games." You just say, "Look, just have these tiles, put that down and follow the route." And they're away and they're enjoying it. And then they'll ask for another game and then another game. This is a game which always kind of like started all my game nights. Value for money because it fits all those categories.
Mm-hmm.
But on the flip side, Heroescape, not Quest, Heroescape, big expensive game. Didn't play it for a very long time, but play it quite a lot. Wonderful components. Sentimental value. It's just beautiful to look at. That's what it means to me. It's just a nice kind of battle game. I don't need to go into Warhammer 40k. I just get that out. I don't really need any other combat game. I don't really need Memoir 44. I should really get rid of Crossmaster because it's the same kind of thing, but it's bigger and it's grander and it's more beautiful and it's easier to play. So you probably won't find me. I was, again, with Star Wars Imperial Assault, I was debating whether to buy that or not because it's got that 2-player head-to-head combat. But I was thinking, well, it's like Heroescape. Why bother? You've got Descent. Why bother?
Mm-hmm.
So why did I bother? Because it was Star Wars.
And Heroescape is so nice because all the pieces are hexes, so you already know, okay, if I'm aiming that way, I'm aiming that way, and I can follow it, and everything's to scale. So it's like, well, do you think you can see over? Look, nope, I can't see over that tree. Okay, then you can't see me to shoot me. It's really, and I like that the cards are double-sided. So there's a simplified version for kids, and then there's the more complicated version if they want to step up to it. And when you got a map laid out with a nice plan, you got some swamp over here, and you got the big ice mountain over here, and you got a castle on one end. It's like, this just looks so cool. I don't care if we're playing a game on it. This just looks great.
Yeah.
And then you realize that, and it took me 4 hours to do this.
Yeah, we normally takes us about 30 minutes. My daughter just goes, "Oh, put that there, put that there." Oh, there's got to be a bridge. There's always a bridge when my daughter plays, so she builds a bridge, and then our characters start on the bridge all the time, and then they hide underneath the bridge when I start winning. And but yeah, that is value for money. It wasn't at the time, but now it is, and I'm not talking about selling it on and getting my money back for it. I'm on about it's got a place in my heart. It's got a place at the table whenever it wants. but not on a Sunday because big Sunday roast and everything like that. And I would say that was value for money. And
oh yeah,
looking forward to the new Magic the Gathering, which should hopefully expand my experience of HeroScape, or give me some new terrain anyway.
Yeah, another one that we were talking about earlier, the Castle Ravenloft, Wrath of Shardalon, Legend of Drizzt, the D&D board games that are all cooperative. I found those to be a really good value for money because I could also take all the Dungeon Command stuff that was the head-to-head battle, but they come with the cards in it to bring them into that. So that meant, oh, cool, I got all these other figures, all these monsters and everything that I can add to the game to expand it. And you get a little bit of that. Remember how you used to play D&D and run through and do the dungeon roll, dungeon crawl, and get through all there, and you don't have time to do all that stuff anymore? Well, now you can, and you don't need a DM. You just set it up and play, and it's like, yay, I get to play the game instead of running the game, which is kind of nice. Yeah. So those are valuable money for me. And then there's the fourth one coming out, Elemental Evil, next week, which is 60-something more figures and everything. Yeah.
Oh, and if you paint it wrong, what are you gonna do?
Hey, I'm painting it. There's no such thing as wrong. That's how I chose to paint him. That's how he's painted.
Oh dear. Okay. Splendor is another game that I would say was great value for money. Again, it's relatively inexpensive game. Doesn't have that much replay, but for me, it's got this cerebral thing, which I enjoy doing. It's got this lovely kind of mathematical puzzle to you got to try and find it before the other players, and then hopefully buy the cards that you want before the other players, and to win the game. Again, it's not a game that, as you were saying, you don't have to win it to like it. When you lose, it just compels you to play it again and beat that other person who beat you the last time and the time before that. And
I know what I did wrong this time. I know what I did wrong. Let's try it again.
Yeah.
Okay, Wile E. Coyote. Sure, let's set it up again.
Yeah. We have that. When just me and the missus play sometimes, it's a case of I have a little winning streak of about 3 or 4 games, and she's like, let's go again because I'm going to beat you next time. And then it's her winning streak, and then it's like, okay, how did she beat me? Okay, what did I do wrong? Did my strategy not work? And it's like, So yeah, it's got that value for money because it kind of reels you in. The game, you don't just play it, you kind of I don't know, it becomes an addiction. You want to play to win. And that for me gives it value for money because it's enticing. It's an entrapment. You're trapped. You're blocked in. You're locked into the game.
Have you tried Tragedy Looper?
No, I haven't. I quite like the sound of it, and the thing is, they got this Time Stories coming out, which I think sounds very much the same.
Yeah, it's very much Clue for grown-ups, which was what I like. Because Clue is like after a certain age, you start realizing, okay, this is sort of easy to figure out. I just got to get these 3 questions. Okay, I know who did it. Whereas in Tragedy Looper, it's like, okay, we're getting good, and then the guy running the game says, no, somebody died, reset, and everybody who's playing the game sort of goes back in time to the start of everything again, but you have that little bit more information. But yeah, somebody died. How? What did we do? What did we miss? And then you're going through it again and again, and by the 3rd or 4th time through, it's either like you either know everything, and you have to know everything. You don't just need to know who did it. You need to know who all the characters are, and if you get it wrong, I still win. And I love that because it's like, yeah, it's a brain burner. You need to know what's going on. You need to pay attention the whole time. You need to think. It's not a good game for end of the night when everybody's burned out, but it's one of those games where you play it and say, okay, I want to play this again because that was cool. Whether or not I won.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. It reels you in. You're like, you're trying to get it. One more game. Yeah, one more game. I'm going to beat it this time. But I understand what you're saying. Cluedo is kind of easy. I'm still not a professional at Cluedo, but I enjoy playing it, and I like deduction games, much like Mystery of the Abbey. That's another one which is just easy to play, light to play, and it doesn't really have a replay value. Once someone's won, it's like, okay, fine, next game. But yeah, I like brain burners because they do bring you back. Because if you lose, or if you come close to winning, or if you win, you're like, yes, I'll do it again. Okay. Do you think we've exhausted this subject, Craig?
Oh, probably not, but I think we've hit our hour.
We have indeed, to the second, just there. Okay. Right, we'd like to say thank you very much for watching. Hopefully I'll do another one sometime in the future. Subject of something or other, board game that everybody should hang up on their wall as a artistic piece of art, maybe. And maybe, Craig, you'd like to join me on the next kind of talk question thingy doobie?
Oh, yeah. I'll be back as long as we can arrange a time schedule that fits for both of us, since we're on opposite sides of the world. Welcome to technology.
Yeah. I'm going to get Tragedy Looper and go back in time.
There you go.
Gonna be, So look out for another video. I'll post it sometime. I'll post something up, and hopefully it'll be posted up properly, and it won't be in a different video on another channel with a different thing, with a different name, because of technology is. Yeah. So until then, thanks for watching. Thank you, Craig, for joining me.
Thanks, Barry. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, and take care, and good night or good day, depending on what time of the world you are.